Lead gen is the single biggest contributing factor to an agent failing or not achieving their goals or achieving their goals. A day not generating is a day not work.
I hate to say it, but the average agent out there does not know much about the market, their market, the national market. So it doesn't take much for you to surpass the bar compared to your competition.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Level Up Podcast with myself, Greg Harrelson. This is where I focus on taking you from agent to entrepreneur. As you know, I have a passion for developing agents. And on today's episode, I'm going to share another quick strategy on how you can increase your production. I'm going to be real, so you be ready. Let's level up.
Today's conversation is the ultimate agent. And I want to talk about what an ultimate agent is before we break down the 13 essential real estate skills that we think is required to be considered, to be called, to claim that you're an ultimate agent. And I'm always a little bit reluctant using the word ultimate because let me tell you right off the bat, my intention by no means is to say that the ultimate agent is the end all be all of all agents in the world. That's not my intention. This is not coming from a place of ego. And it's like, we're the best in the world and no one can actually compare to us. That's not, and we're really not talking about us, but whoever would be the ultimate agent or be able to claim that they're the ultimate agent, to me, it has nothing to do with how great someone is. It's them mastering some foundational skills, mastering some components, and in our case, about 13 different components. And when you master each one of those components, we've noticed that business is unlimited for yourself. So that's what we're talking about, the ultimate agent. So, if I was to describe to you what is an ultimate agent, to me, an ultimate agent is someone that can create business, that creates a business that's predictable, duplicatable, but also sustainable. Okay. And so, there's a lot of people that will have a predictable business. They do certain things and it's predictable. Then the market shifts and then all of a sudden they realize it's not duplicatable. And so we want to make sure that an ultimate agent has a business that's predictable, duplicatable, and the third one is sustainable. Now, predictable, what I mean by that is it's something that the more that you control. Basically, it's predictable in the sense that you can predict if you do these activities, you're going to get these results. It's duplicatable in the sense of that you can produce those same results over and over again in any market. Now, you may have to change the number of people that you talk to in a down market versus an up market, or it might take less people in a hot market than it was in a cold market. But you can see there's a direct correlation. And that makes it predictable and duplicatable, but it must be sustainable. And what we mean by sustainable, it's bulletproof, it's market-proof, it's recession-proof. It doesn't matter if it's 2008 and it's the Great Recession, and 2010 it's short sales and foreclosures, you're dominating your market. If it's the pandemic, you're dominating your market. If it's high interest rates, you're dominating your market. If there's only going to be 4.2 million sales in America when there's 6 million sales in some years, you're still dominating the market. That's sustainable. So we've come up with 13 skills or areas that we believe we must learn, we must master in order to create a business that's predictable, duplicatable, and sustainable. So there's my kind of introduction of what we're going to talk about today. I do want to say today, and just let everybody know that for those of you that don't know, Abe and I have a coaching program. It's called Agent Success Academy. I'm sure Morgan's going to put a link in the comments if you want to check it out. We're inviting anybody, from this webinar to take a look at what Abe and I do. We coach live in group setting every single week. We bring a subject that's relevant, it's current, because we are still coaching agents in our companies. So we understand we're coaching the things that are working. We're coaching predictability, duplicatability, and sustainability. I don't even know if duplicatability is a word, but that's going to be a word today. That's a word today. So I just want you to check it out. She'll post the link. Please check it out. and we have a promo code. It's Ultimate Agent 3. And for those of you that do sign up, using that promo code, there'll be $100 off for the first 3 months, each month for the first 3 months of the program. Abe, I think we have 140, 150 coaching sessions archived that somebody could just go in and binge watch us for practically a year. Is that about right?
That's about right. Yeah, about 140 calls. Each one is about an hour. So a ton of content on all different topics.
All right. Well, that's awesome. Well, cool. All right. Well, let's jump back into the business. So please forgive me, but I just think it's only appropriate that I share that with you because we'd love to help more of you transform your business and help you reach the goals that you're looking to reach. So Abe and I came up with the 13 components of an ultimate agent. I'm going to go ahead and start. Abe's going to share some. I'm going to share some. I'm going to start the first one, Abe. And that is the ultimate mindset. Like if you're going to be an ultimate agent, you got to have the ultimate mindset. And there's a few things that we think about when we think about mindset. It's the attitude that you bring to your day, to your business. It's the approach you take, and it's the focus you have. Like, what is your attitude toward the current market? What is your attitude towards the NAR settlement? Is your attitude glasses half full? Is it glasses half empty? Is it scarcity? Is it abundant? Do you default to let me find the opportunity, or do you default to, oh my gosh, I could be out of business? See, that's an attitude. And that attitude is going to affect your approach. See, in order to have a predictable, duplicatable, and sustainable business, you've got to take an approach. You've got to have strategies and tactics that you deploy every single day like clockwork. That's an approach. Like if you're a generator and you're going to do lead generation from 8 to 11, you do 8 to 11 every Monday through Friday. That's what you're going to do. If your approach is you're going to do direct mail, how many pieces, what's the frequency, and make sure you're consistent. That's approach, focus. What do you focus on? Because here's what we know. What you focus on, that's what you're going to see. That's what you're going to attract. If you focus on the negative, negativity is going to follow you. If you focus on being the solution, you're going to find solutions. If you focus on being the problem, you're going to find problems. So in our ASA coaching, we're taking everybody through 13 weeks of the ultimate agent. What I just gave you is about 2 minutes of a 1-hour conversation around the ultimate mindset. So we're going to go through 13 little brief segments and give you bullet points of each of the components of the ultimate agent. But just understand, we're trying to get through 13 hours of content in about 51 minutes now.
Nice too. Yeah.
All right. Abe.
Yeah, that's a good point, Greg. So yeah, I mean, the ultimate mindset is going to pretty much work for just about every single thing that we talk about. Like we can literally spend a whole week on just mindset alone. So that has to come into play with every one of these bullet points that we touch on. But how do you make anything predictable? Whether it's your business, whether it's your life, you make it predictable by controlling of as many of the variables as you possibly can. So we start off with mindset. The second thing you want to control is your ultimate routine, right? If you don't have a routine that suits and is aligned with your goals and what you want to accomplish, then you can't have anything predictable as far as either something duplicatable or predictable when it comes to your business. So it starts off with your routine. And basically a routine is just a series of actions that just become second nature to you. Right. So the more you do something over and over and over, you all of a sudden stop thinking about it. It's like waking up and taking a shower, brushing your teeth. You don't think about it. It just becomes routine. It becomes natural. So all of us have routines. It's just some of us have routines that are intentional and are aligned with our goals. And some of us just kind of have routines by accident. We get up and we hit the snooze button and we come to work at, 9 o'clock one morning, 8 o'clock one morning. So it fluctuates. So you have to, in order to have something predictable, duplicatable, you have to really take a look at your routine. So what we recommend is you take a look at what you're doing now every single day. Are you waking up at the same exact time every day? Are you getting to the office every single time? Right? All these different things have to be looked at and make sure that it's aligned with what you're trying to accomplish. And then that's what you focus on. So we break it down into 4 parts of a day. Okay. There's the pregame, there's the game, there's the postgame, and then the celebration. So 4 components of a day. The pregame is from the moment you wake up all the way until you get to the office to start working. So we have to look at, the things that are important to your life, family, financial, mental, physical. Are you getting up and getting active in the morning? Are you exercising? Are you training for something? Okay. Are you getting the body going? Are you getting the mind going? Are you meditating? So all of that is the pregame. And that's so crucial to setting up your day. Now, once you get that done, you show up to the office at the same exact time every day. And that's your game time. Or 8 to 11, which is, in most cases, we'll argue over and over, is the most important part of your day. That 8 to 11, your lead generation time is going to be the most important part of the day. To us, that's the game time. That's when you come in, you go through a systematic approach of generating leads on a daily basis. Once that's over, once 11 is done, then you've got the post game. At that point, you go through all the leads you generated, whatever appointments you've set, you prepare for, whatever appointments you have, you go on, any phone calls you need to return, things like that gets done in the post game. And then at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you recap your entire day, figure out what went right, what went wrong. And then once you're done with that, shut it off. Shut it off and enjoy your evening, and then come back the next day. So take a look at your morning routine, your midday routine, all the way through until the moment you go to sleep, and then make sure that everything that you do is intentional and that you focus on what's most important to you.
Yeah, that's great. One thing that crossed my mind about the routine, your routine, Abe, it's just, again, it's triggered by something you said. I'm not sure what you said that re-triggered it, but I wrote down here or typed out, a routine will either be by design or it'll be by default. Mm-hmm. And so either way, so like if some of you don't have a routine, that is a routine. It's just a routine by default. And routines by default are not duplicatable, they're not predictable, and they're not sustainable. But routine by designs are duplicatable, predictable, and sustainable. So I just want to kind of throw that before we left routine is out there. Is your routine by design or by default? So again, in the program, in the full Ultimate Agent program, we're going to go in and get a lot more granular, a lot more deeper into what these routines of Ultimate Agents really look like. But I'm going to move on and talk about the Ultimate Lead Generator. Okay, because that's I think the third component is the Ultimate Lead Generator. So it starts with mindset, routine, and then we've got to be building a business. So lead gen is the single biggest contributing factor to an agent failing or not achieving their goals or achieving their goals. In other words, lead gen itself is going to, in my opinion, in our opinion, is going to be the single biggest contributing factor to success or failure or not exceeding one's goals. It's got to be the main focus of an ultimate agent. If you want an ultimate business, you want to be an ultimate agent, it's got to be your main focus. There's always, or ultimate agents are always looking for that extra 30 minutes where they can slide in a few more contacts, a few more conversations, a few more handwritten notes, a few more door knocks, a few more, just sold flyers, a few more open houses, whatever it is, whatever your flavor is for lead generation, an ultimate agent is always looking, how can I get 30 more minutes of it? Because each one of those things, no matter what the lead generation activity is, the design of lead generation is you're going to reach out, talk to people, and the more contacts you have, the more closings you're going to have. That's it, period. Now, contacts, though, don't think that means cold calling. It doesn't mean calling FSBOs. It means reaching out and contacting people, whether it be open houses, it's an activity that leads you to connecting and contacting with more people. The more contacts you have, the more closings you'll have. That's it, period. Now, an ultimate agent, we talked about routine. Abe said something about routine, and he said 8 to 11. The ultimate agent is a master at putting themselves in their calendar from 8 to 11 and making sure that that's one appointment they never cancel. I'm 28, 29 years in the business. And if I'm in my town, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, you will never, I should say rarely, it would be rare that you would find me anywhere else at 8 o'clock, but in the same station that I've been in for 20 plus years. We never miss. And that's a component. A day not generating is a day not worked. And you've heard it said this way: if you generate, you don't have to tolerate. Too many agents are tolerating too much BS, but they have to tolerate because they're not generating. What's the next one, Abe?
Greg, you're more likely to forget about a listing appointment and not show up than actually forget about 8 to 11 or not show up 8 to 11.
Yeah, I would more likely cancel a listing appointment for $1 million house on a Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock before I'd not show up at 8 o'clock Monday through Friday.
So that lead gen to me is the biggest failure in our industry. So when you go get a license, there is no talk of lead generation. There is no talk of how do you generate business. You get your license and they throw you out there. It's like buying a Dunkin' Donuts franchise and they never teach you how to make donuts. Like, you have to incorporate lead gen into your business, whether it's 5 minutes a day, an hour a day, 3 hours a day. We suggest 3 hours a day if you want to be an ultimate agent, right? But it has to be done on a daily basis. You have to talk to buyers and sellers every single day if you want to do any business. All right, so now that you're calling people 8 to 11 or whatever time you're doing, you're going to generate some leads, right? If someone is ready to buy, ready to sell, it's easy. You set the appointment, you go see them. Now, you're going to get the majority of people that are not going to be ready. Okay, that's where the ultimate follow-up comes in. So we spend a full hour and we've got tons of calls on how to follow up with people. So plain and simple, a follow-up call is every single call that you make to the person after the initial first call. All right, so basically all you're doing is trying to just move the ball down the field to eventually score. Not everybody's going to be ready instantly. Okay, when it comes to follow-up, you have to learn to have patience. You have to learn to have discipline. You have to understand and trust that this is a long game. All right? 44% of salespeople give up after one follow-up call. 44% give up. Now, here's the kicker. 80% of leads of prospects say no 4 times before they say yes. Right? So there's a huge gap there. So that means your competition is giving up. If you continue to follow up and have a disciplined, consistent process for following up with people, you're going to kill it. Most business is lost with poor or follow-up. So discipline is important. Being able to segment your leads in a proper way so you don't lose the hot leads. Being able to determine who you spend time with and who you don't based on how hot they are will have a huge impact on how much business you do. Recommendation would be your amount of time spent and talking to people should be about a 3-to-1 ratio. You should spend if you're going to spend 3 hours a day in lead gen, you should spend an hour a day in follow-up, somewhere along that range. And then you lead gen 8 to 11. Once your 11 is over, then schedule an hour sometime at that day and doing a follow-up. But you can't have predictable, duplicatable, sustainable business without a solid follow-up plan.
You know, one of the really popular coaching sessions you did one time was called Fanatical Follow-Up. Actually, you did a course on it, right? And it just shows how important the conversation around follow-up is. So Abe says it's one of the most important. It's the biggest area of loss of income in our real estate business and in a lot of sales businesses. You know, so it was important enough. We did a whole course on it one time, and it was very well received. So I'm going to move on, though. I'm going to move on, and let's talk about the ultimate data bank. Now, notice I didn't say database. The ultimate data bank. So what is a database? Some of you may have heard me say this before. A database is a place where you store a list of names, addresses, emails, and telephone numbers. That's it. A database is nothing more than a list of names, addresses, emails, and numbers. But what is a data bank? A data bank is a database that is nurtured with the intention of creating come list me calls consistently. We put people in our database and they're strangers. It's just a list of names, addresses, emails, and numbers. They're strangers. But when you have a data bank, the key is the way that you nurture and communicate to that database makes it a data bank, meaning you turn strangers into acquaintances. And eventually, the acquaintance becomes an advocate because they see you as a resource. We need to be focusing on building a data bank. And I'm telling you right now, I've been saying it for years, but it's never been more important than now. Think about this. For those of you that are working buyers, nothing wrong with working buyers, but you know what? In a few months, every buyer is supposed to be under a buyer agency agreement. So the days of getting a buyer call, getting an online lead, and them not already being under a buyer agency agreement is going to be rare, going to be frustrating. And what I say is that is making the world shrink. Another thing that's making the world shrink is consumers are sick and tired of getting 10, 15 emails a month from 10 to 15 different real estate agents. So you know what they're doing? They're opting out, unsubscribing to 13 of them, and they're only receiving 2 now. Heck, even yourself, you're probably thinking, I need to change my email and never give it out to anybody because I'm tired of all this spam. Well, heck, the majority of the spam for a lot of consumers are real estate agents. So guess what they're doing? They said, you know what? I'm no longer opting into all this stuff. I'm only going to listen to a few people. The question becomes, are you one of the few? I think more business is going to come out of the database over the next couple of years than we've ever seen before. And I think it's going to be harder to get new business that's not within our database. So we need to be focusing on building a data bank. Constantly build because of attrition. Some of you've seen on Facebook where I took my daughters to Taylor Swift. And, and I thought it was a great concert. My daughters absolutely loved it. And, but one of the things I looked at Taylor Swift and as I'm a week after the concert, I'm thinking about Taylor Swift and I'm thinking about, wow, every one of these people that are following her audience, who are diehard followers of her, they were all straight. She was a stranger to every one of them one day. And they heard her song, her tune, or saw her video, whatever it was. And all of a sudden they said, I want to consume more of that. And then after consuming more of that, they got dependent on it and started paying $5,000 or $6,000 to go see her. And then after they paid $5,000 for a ticket to go see her, they paid more money to actually go to see her in the movie. And then they paid more money to go watch it streaming. And then now they're paying more money because she just issued another album. She turned strangers into acquaintances, made them advocates. I want to teach you how to do the same thing, the ultimate data bank. Next one, Abe.
Yeah, the next one is ultimate nurture. So the way you turn a database into a data bank is through nurture, right? Databases mean nothing, right? We can get lists of people and addresses and phone numbers all day long. Go to Exact.out, you can get tens of thousands of names and numbers. Okay, what you want is a data bank. And the way that you create a data bank is through nurture. And the way that you get nurture is by sending consistent, frequent, relevant, and valuable content to the people. That's what they want. Now, if you follow our database and follow-up coaching, then what you're going to be doing is you're going to be segmenting your data bank into smaller chunks of people, smaller chunks of databases that you can actually tailor specific messages to. So if someone owns a condo, you're actually sending them relevant condo information, not stuff about land values in town, right? So the more specific, the more you can segment your data bank, and the more specific and relevant information you can send them, the more you get their attention. And basically all you're trying to do is create engagement. Because eventually over time, what you want to start to create is more and more come list me calls if you're working with sellers, right? My first year, 12,000 contacts I made. Second year was down to 8,000. Third year was down to 4,000. But as that was decreasing, my business was going up. Why does that happen? Because I was building a data bank and nurturing it where over time, more and more business starts to come back to me and I have to make less and less, or I can make less and less outbound calls. So it's got to be valuable in the sense that you've got to give them some sort of value, teach them something, educate them on the market, on their property. It's got to be consistent, which means that you can't send one month and then say 2 months off and then send it again. It doesn't work that way. You have to get them to expect it and know when it's coming. And it's got to be frequent, right? So frequency means we show you at least a minimum of 60 touches or 60 messages or some information that you sent to a particular lead per year. A minimum is 60. And we show you the whole process of what to send, what to say, and things like that. So whether it's a market update video, whether it's a market report based on what they own, home buy reports, all kinds of different things, you want to touch them a minimum of 60 touches a year. You have to get people's attention nowadays because they're being bombarded with information. And the more relevant you make it to them, the better the frequency, the more you'll get their attention. And that'll generate business for you down the road.
This has been one of the, I guess, this is one of the things, ultimate nurture in the data bank is something that, I went to a Tony Robbins seminar years and years ago. It was a business mastery seminar. And then he had a guest there who I think was a little bit of a partner of his at that time called Chet Holmes, who wrote a book, The Ultimate Selling Machine. The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. He's no longer with us. He passed away. But one of the things that I took from him is the importance of building a database and adding value to the consumer. Making sure that you're sending stuff out that's relevant, that's seen to be of value, and then let the law of reciprocity take place. So it is one of the things that we've done early on, Abe, as you know, that's made a huge difference. Man, it's just nice when you're out there grinding for new business, and then by the end of the day, all of a sudden you get a call from somebody that says, "Hey, can you come by my house? I'm thinking about selling. I just need you to help me with pricing, and maybe you can sell it for me." Come list me calls are the best. So I want to move on and talk about the ultimate communicator, because I think we would be foolish to not, talk about the power of communication. If you're going to be the ultimate agent, you've got to be an ultimate communicator. And I'll just share with you a few thoughts on it. I'll touch on a few things. Number one, when it comes to being an ultimate communicator, what do you mean? What does it take? You've got to listen. You got to be a master at listening to what people are saying. But this is even more important. You got to be able to hear and listen and hear what people aren't saying. See, people will tell you things like, they'll say, you're walking in a department store and the salesperson says, "Hey, can I help you find something?" And they say, no, I'm just wasting time. I'm just burning time. Okay. That's what they're saying. Somebody could say, no, thank you. I appreciate it. Somebody could say, no. These are like verbal. These are all the different things that people can say, but I want to hear what they don't say, the nonverbal cues, like the upswings, the downswings. Like if I say to somebody, I'm just kind of curious, what are you hoping to get for your property? Let's say I'm talking to somebody, I'm setting a listing appointment, and I want to kind of qualify them and get some information. I said, "I'm just kind of curious, Abe, what are you hoping to get for your property? What are you hoping it sells for?" And then Abe was to say, "Well," I'm going to do it again. He says, "Well, maybe around 500,000. So verbally, I heard them say 500,000. But non-verbally, I noticed that they just did a big exhale as they were saying it. And let me tell you what a big exhale is. Just imagine for a moment, you see somebody in front of you, standing right in front of you, and they're winding up and they're getting ready to punch you in the gut, and you have to take the punch. You have to take it. You can't move. You have to take the punch. Well, here's what you're going to do. You're going to do this. You're going to exhale, and you're going to kind of crouch like this, because that's the best way to absorb the punch. So the punch has the least amount of impact. When I say, "I'm just kind of curious, what are you hoping to get for your property?" And they say, "Well, I'm maybe 500,000. then I know they don't even believe the 500,000. They're hoping it'll be 500,000, but they know I'm not going to tell them 500,000, and they're already preparing for the punch. They're already preparing that it's only 425. They know it, but they want 500. That's what they're telling me verbally, but non-verbally, they told me 425. I want to teach you some strategies so you can become an ultimate communicator. I'm going to say one more thing because I think this is important. I was coaching my daughter the other day on some sales stuff, and I told her there's 3 parts to a pitch. You want to know 3 parts to a pitch, to like a sales pitch? Number 1, make them aware of a problem they didn't know they had. Number 2, introduce a solution to the problem they didn't know they had. And number 3, introduce them to the benefits of solving the problem they didn't know they had. 3 parts to the pitch. They will sign with you every time. Hey, you're next. The ultimate market expert, man. You are the ultimate market expert, by the way. But go ahead. What were you going to say?
Let me add one more thing to communication, because that is just so important in what we do. This is everything that we do. It's all communication. We literally just talk to people, right? So what you just said was so important about listening to what they're not saying.
Yes.
Right? You have to get to the point where you're so comfortable in the conversation that you could actually be okay with some silence. Right? But if your mind is constantly going about what should I ask next? What should I ask next? You're not listening. You're not hearing what they say. You're not hearing what they're not saying. So you have to know your scripts. You have to know the conversation so well that you can just sit there and just be open to what they're saying and just absorb it all in. So that's really important. Second thing is, you have to learn how to ask questions and ask the right questions, right? And when you ask a question, you have to make sure that it's not an interrogation, right? It's a conversation, not an interrogation. Interrogation is going to be question after question after question. You're just drilling them. You have to ask a question and then you have to zip it and just allow them to talk. The more they're willing to talk, the more you let them talk. And you're gathering information at that point. So that's a couple of things is the ability to ask questions, the ability to just kind of zip it and just kind of listen to what they're saying and not saying, and be okay with a little bit of silence. That's how you communicate effectively in this business.
Yeah.
All right. Next thing is the ultimate market expert. All right. This isn't very difficult to do. I hate to say it, but the average agent out there does not know much about the market, their market, the national market. So doesn't take much for you to surpass the bar compared to your competition. All right. So if you're having a conversation, whether it's a buyer or a seller, how deep can you go in a conversation? Is it if they ask you, how's the market doing? Is it just a 2 or 3 word answer and then you're done? Oh, the market's great. Oh, the market's soft. The market's hot. Is that it? What if they ask you a specific question about a specific neighborhood, about inventory, things like that? You have to be able to go deeper in these conversations. And especially nowadays with all these changes going on with the NAR, if you're on a buyer side or the seller side, you have to be able, I know it's become a cliche when people say that you have to show your value. Okay, but one of the best ways that you show your value is coming across as an expert. So you have to get deep into these conversations. And I'll give you a couple of quick ways to do that. It doesn't take more than maybe 5 to 10 minutes a day of doing some research. And then you're going to be one of the most knowledgeable people in your market. Okay, you got to start with knowing your local market stats. Again, 2 to 3 minutes in the MLS. Look at what the inventory numbers are. Look at how many properties are pending. Look at days on the market. Look at the percentage of sales relative to list price. And look at the trends, whether things are going up or going down. Right? Simple. 2 or 3 minutes in the MLS and morning, and then that's all you need. Okay. Know the national stats. You know, are we projected to do 4.2 million homes this year? Are we projected to the normal 5.5 million? Okay, the average year is usually somewhere between 5 and 5.5 million homes sold. Right now, we're trending between 4 and 4.2. That in itself, that one piece of data right there tells you what the national market's doing right now. Okay, that is 30, 40% down. So know those things. Know what the mortgage rates are doing, right? And then know some basic industry news. Now, in when we do a full hour on this in our coaching program, we give you some tips and some things, newsletters to sign up for, some apps to sign up for, and things like that. This stuff will come to you on a regular basis, so you don't have to spend too much time looking for it. Okay, but you have to spend 5 to 10 minutes a day on educating yourself and becoming a market expert in your market.
Yeah. About value, because that's the buzz right now because of the buyer agency. It goes, got to show your value, got to show your value. And here's what I think, Abe. Showing your value has nothing to do with what your value is. And I think we need to really think about this. Showing your value has nothing to do with your value. It has to do with what they value. And it's all about what is the consumer value. You got to show up. You got to show up based on what they value, not your value, because your value is probably going to be honesty and everything else. Look, they just think that that's automatic. But what they value, one thing they value is knowledge. So you've got to show up. Showing your value is showing them that you have what they value. And I think that's very important.